Outsourcing tends to have a bad reputation as being low quality. Partner Hero's value-based approach raises the bar for the outsourcing industry by investing in employee empowerment and career growth, paying above-market salaries, and maintaining a focus on quality and performance. They're more than a service provider. They're also a thought partner for the startups they serve. It's simple. Brands that care about quality customer experience choose Partner Hero. They offer flexible terms and the ability to scale quickly, perfect for startups, with quality assurance baked into every program and offices around the world. So Partner Hero can provide truly global coverage. Outsourcing has long been available mainly to big businesses, but Partner Hero is challenging business as usual by bringing the benefits of outsourcing to businesses of all sizes with short, flexible contracts and fast ramp-up times. 10 years ago, when we were launching the Action Catalyst, we could have used a few extra hands to help us scale quickly, even if it was just for a short while. You can bet that with their expertise, fast onboarding, and core focus on quality, Partner Hero would have had our attention. If you're ready to bring in outside customer support help for your startup that feels like it's a part of an existing team, check out Partner Hero. Head over to partnerhero.com/Action Catalyst to book a free consultation with our solutions team. Mention you heard about Partner Hero from the Action Catalyst, and they'll even waive the setup fee. Now, on to the show.
From Nashville, Tennessee, Southwestern Family of Companies welcomes you to the Action Catalyst. Each week, we share insights and inspiration from movers and shakers in the world of business. Our goal is to help you increase your self-discipline, overcome procrastination, and help you to take action on all the things that really matter.
This episode is going to teach you how to get more business, how to get more customers, how to get more referrals, how to get more clients and patients and speaking gigs and readers. And no matter what you are doing, no matter what business you are in, this episode is going to teach you how to generate more business. We are talking about referrals, and specifically a new term, which you're going to be introduced to by my good friend Ron Alford, red carpet relationships, which I love, and don't mean to spoil one of the punchlines, but you'll hear our conversation and how we got there, and what rolled off of his tongue, I think, without even thinking about it, is just this concept of creating red carpet relationships, which is just fantastic. So we're talking about red carpet relationships. And then after the interview with Ron, what happens is I am going to help dial that in and close the loop and talk about how to, 3 ideas or 3 kind of steps for converting red carpet relationships into revenue. So Ron's going to teach us how to create red carpet relationships. And then at the end, I'm going to kind of continue the conversation and talk about 3 steps for converting those red carpet relationships into revenue. So it is a big episode, and you're going to love it. We'll get started just after this message.
This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Coaching. Southwestern Coaching has helped over 11,000 people increase their incomes by over 25% on average. As a successful salesperson, you know the importance of increasing your sales, but sometimes you might just need a little extra push and accountability to meet your goals and grow your business. Southwestern Coaching will help you increase your income through one-on-one sales and leadership coaching tailored specifically to your needs. Together, we will elevate sales. To schedule your free one-on-one business action planning session with a Southwestern coach, go to www.southwesternconsulting.com/action catalyst.
So one of our most important principles at Southwestern Consulting is we always talk about being practitioners first, and then, speakers, consultants, whatever, teachers second. And I'm excited to introduce to you today one of my business partners that you haven't had a chance to meet yet, but he is the newest senior partner at Southwestern Consulting, which means he's, achieved the highest level of equity ownership. He is now like one of the members, right? One of the senior leaders, and his name is Ron Alford, and for 19 years he worked at Southwestern Advantage, which many of the people inside our company did. I did that in college, selling educational resources door to door, and he personally coached over 600 different salespeople. He personally hit the highest level of sales 70 times. 6 times was sales manager of the year there, and was the number. One of the things that I thought was cool when Ron first, obviously he's been a legend that I've looked up to my entire career, because he was in the business when I started, was that 6 of the top 10 lifetime top producers in Southwestern were directly trained by Ron. And, he joined our team over here a couple years ago, has broken just about every single record, and is the fastest person to ever become senior partner. And so I brought him on board because I feel like to the show that you need to hear what he has to talk about related to relationship-based selling. So Ron Alford, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate being here with you, man.
So, when I think about you, I think of, not you're very rare in that you have both consistently been a personal top producer in everything you've done. I know I left this out of your intro, but you're also an ultra marathoner and, extreme athlete. But that you've also led a number of top producers, and it seems to be based in some simple principles around relationship-based selling. So can you kind of just give me, in one sentence or like a high-level overview, what is sort of your personal philosophy as it relates to business development, and generating new business?
Yeah, you bet, Rory. I love the study of this too. I mean, of course, the things we've been through and building and in the process of building, but even just studying this in other companies and in other lives. And I feel like the depth of relationships, you can count on it. It's just, it's anchored. And I feel like you can always come back. I mean, when you go through personal trials or ups or downs, you can always go back to those people in your life. And so I feel like, quality, true, honest relationships, whether it's in selling or of course, leadership, recruiting, whatever, but I feel like you can always count on that. There's internal trust built. There's just this alliance. And I always look at it like I'm trying to create allies in every sense of the word. People that I know think and view the world in a similar sense and will be right in your corner when it matters. And, I think that's true in sales.
So define quality relationship for me, right? Because I think on some level we go, oh yeah, well obviously, good relationships are going to help us sell. And I want to, we'll get into. I know you have a little 5-step sort of, checklist of this. But before we dive into sort of how to do it, define for me what is a quality relationship. Like, how do you determine? You go, yeah, this is something that really does have depth.
Yeah. So I'd say loyalty is one. And I, obviously being with Southwestern almost 25 years now, I value that. I value loyalty. I value consistency of communication. I think there's got to be some sort of consistency, even if it's people, some of those people in your life that maybe you only see them once a year or periodically, but you can pick up right where you left off. You just have this rapport that's true. There's not a ton of effort to it. I think, when you're aligned with people like that, boy, capture that, keep it, value it, treasure it, and be loyal to it. And I feel as though it will be loyal back to you.
And you're saying you do that with new prospect. Like, so it's one thing to go, okay, well, I've been friends with so-and-so, like I know several of your team members, at Southwestern Consulting are now people that you've known for years. And a lot of them either, work directly or indirectly with you when you were at Southwestern Advantage. What about new people that you're meeting? Like, how do you create it? Well, I don't want to ask about how yet, but do you still think that's possible with people that you're just meeting, just prospecting for the first time?
You bet. Yeah. I think rapport, that's of course where you and I come from, the world of face-to-face, door-to-door. You had to land that first impression. And I'm sure, we talk a lot about third-party selling and so I just meet you. I don't have a ton of trust yet in our relationship, but if we know like-minded other people, if we have connecting points, I know rapport is a common topic, but I think really being able to land that in a authentic manner, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But I think that just speeds it up. I think the curve is just like, we just took two giant leaps forward in our connected, the depth of how connected we are now when we can do that.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, thinking either about mistakes that you've made or maybe mistakes you've seen people on your team make. I mean, over 600 salespeople you worked with, but then also your clients, right? So obviously we're coaching people. That's our core business. What do you think are the biggest mistakes then that you see people making when it comes to relationships or, developing them, or their lack thereof, or how they value them, or, I guess, what do you think are some of the things that get in the way of having that depth of quality in their relationships?
Yeah, I think it's the human. We're short-sighted as humans, and I think the way we're all wired is just give me the quick whatever it is, and we get transactional. Even in, I'm sure your listeners come from a wide variety of businesses and selling cycles and all, but no matter what we sell, I feel like a lot of us just want to chalk it up, get that victory, and then we kind of move on and we take it for granted. And I've learned the hard way. I definitely have not been great at this but really realized that, man, I'm never going to take that for granted. If I get a victory, when we get victories, I'm going to capture that and cherish it, because it's a big deal, and it can stay with us forever. And then we know the fruit from that. So to your question, I think we just get short-sighted. We just get in transactional mode. Who's next, without really, trying to deepen and further that relationship.
So how do you balance that, right? Because one of the things, our Southwestern history and legacy is like, it was beaten into our head, like sales is a numbers game, and it's whoever talks to the most qualified number of prospects in the shortest amount of time wins, and schedule is your lifeline. And, back when we were selling books, of course, it was 30 demos a day. And, even now, internally, we promote that with our team, right? It's got to be quantity. And we promote this to our coaching clients. So how do you balance that philosophy that is sort of time tested, that, it is a numbers game. It is the law of averages. You do need to talk to more people, but you also have to develop relationships. So when I think of you've found a way to do both, and you've also found a way consistently to teach your clients and your team how to do both. So how do you sort of reconcile those two somewhat, they kind of seem like competing dynamics on the surface?
They do. Yeah, I think, evidence is always, the proof's in the pudding. And for me, that's a lot of why I continued to go to the field in later years selling books, is that if I can get people to shadow, there's no better way for leaders than to show someone. And if you're not in the trenches, quote, making dials and showing through your example, hopefully you've got some, keystone members of your team that are going to be great examples. And so I think really thankfully having good people that I could put in front of others and good examples, and because evidence is real. Like, let me show you why the quantity is so important. The numbers game, the 30 demos, our coach is now 100 dials, et cetera. And let me show you with those how to identify. And when you find those ones that just speak your same language, boy, it, your instincts kick in, and now it's all about quality and how deep can we take this, not just who's next.
And so do you feel like there's some level of permission that you have to get to, like when you're saying you're cranking along and you find someone that you speak the same language? Is there something that goes on in your head where you go, oh man, this is someone I need to spend more time with? And do you see that as conflicting with the other internal voice that's saying, next, who's next? Yes, I do. But yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love the way you just worded it, just giving myself that permission. I literally this morning had breakfast with Andy Taylor, who's an example locally here in Washington. His wife, Ruthie, worked with Southwestern for 9 years. Andy didn't, but Andy runs a big Keller Williams team. And I knew years ago when I met Andy, you really like him, and you see the word, there's just a link there. And so now being very intentional. Like this morning, I could have made 10 cold calls,
but to go spend, so seeing things in advance, being intentional about the week or month ahead and saying, okay, each week, do I have a little bit of activity built in where I'm furthering relationships of people that, number one, I just really like Andy. I trust him. I'm cheering for him greatly because I really care for his family. And then number two, we can really help each other. I can help his team. He can help my team, so that's an example just from today.
So is that a thing that you're looking for? Not only you speak the same language, but we can really help each other. That's one of the key indicators.
You bet. Yeah. And then I think it's okay to be real about it. And of course, the more I can get to know his vision and where he's going, and I'm man, my alerts are up. I want to listen and understand how I might be able to make a difference in his life. That's at the end of the day, all the trophies and, it's nice to have a new title on my business card or on my LinkedIn profile, but that stuff fades. And, but feeling like I somehow, some way might have altered Andy's team. Like that is powerful.
And so do you walk out of that? So like you said, there's some conscious calculation that you go, okay, I have a choice between making 10 cold calls or going to have breakfast with Andy. And you say, okay, this is someone I want to invest time in. Then do you come out of that meeting, and then how do you flip the switch to going, okay, let's get back in the office and let's get on the phone and let's prospect some fresh people for the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I always look at it like just the course corrections, like on an airplane flight, just those numerous course corrections that keep us on path. And you and I have talked about this offline, but I've got to be really intentional about looking at my calendar and saying, okay, in the next week or month, do I have built-in time? And then when I have it, just like today, okay, this morning I've visualized my calendar as the day began and knew about that breakfast. I knew about this podcast conversation. And then I also know at 2:30, boy, blinders are on, distractions are eliminated, and it's time to find some new Andys, so to speak. There's no other Andy out there for Andy listening to this, but you know what I mean. It's locked in, and I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm living in the moment, and then I'm also really excited. But I struggle with that if I don't visualize it as the day begins, and that was during my morning workout. It was in the shower. It was on my drive. It was I really saw the day before it happened.
Interesting. So it's kind of like you're looking forward to that time with Andy. Then you got this on your calendar, but then you've got what we would call, we teach our coaching clients the golden hours. So you have some golden hours blocked that you're also looking forward to. And when that time hits, it's like you go into beast mode. You got it.
Yep. And it's literally 2:30 Pacific time today. So I won't be reachable.
How many hours a week? I mean, you're doing a lot. Like, for those of you that don't know, like internally at Southwestern Consulting, to become a senior partner means you're a top producer in sales. It means you're personally recruiting and leading a top team. It means you're also coaching executive level, like our top clients. You're working on consulting projects with some of our largest customers. You're speaking at events, right? At various events that we do. And then, you're often working on a book or something. And then you're also balancing your family life. Like, you are doing a lot of stuff. So how many hours do you carve out, would you say, like on any given week or day for beast mode, like for golden hours? Like, how much time do you go, I'm going to be grinding here, finding new Andys, as you say?
Yeah, love it. So here's to me, just even listening, this is where it comes together, because it's the Andys that so when I prospect later today at 2:30, let's just say I make 15 dials and talk to 4 decision makers or 5. Well, those 5 decision makers, boy, a lot of them have been introduced already. I've got this red carpet introduction because of the relationships. So because of being intentional with we just keep using this Andy example. There's people out there that he's introduced me to that they already trust when I call, and we've got a warm golden nugget set up. He may have already text introduced us or email introduced us. And I always kind of call it kind of the red carpet introduction. I've still got to do my part, but when that phone, so I may not take quite as much time prospecting as some other coaches or some other people, because each reach has a much higher ratio of turning into fruit, which for us is a workshop set or a new client or whatever, whatever you look at it. So, and that's just studying it. It's knowing our numbers, right? We work with our clients on, I've got to know my ratios. I've got to know my activity. I don't care what business I'm in. If I don't know my current ratios and then have specific goals for the gaps, how can I improve this ratio 10%? And what will that do for the business? That's just being really into the numbers and, inspecting what I expect.
So what's a red? I like this phrase of the red carpet relationship. So is that what do you consider a red carpet relationship? When somebody has specifically communicated about you in advance? Is that kind of how you define that?
Yeah. It's someone that says, Joe, man, I wanted to introduce you to Ron. Man, let me tell you about Ron. I've worked with him professionally, respect the guy like crazy, and what him and his team have done for a lot of companies and for ours as well. Joe, it may be a fit for you and may not what Ron does, but you guys at least have to have a quick conversation. Excited to hear how it goes. I'll let you take it from there. Something along those lines of, it's a buying atmosphere, but I need to do my part. I've got to, of course, land that conversation, but the person that introduced us, the red carpet introduction, is a personal testimony, very powerful and brief. I think brevity is important. It's to the point. Man, I know Ron as a person and his family. I know what the results they've brought to our team, and it just made me think of you. I know you guys are like-minded. Excited for you guys to have a conversation and see where it goes.
I love that. So let's talk about, do you have these red carpet introductions that hopefully turn into red carpet relationships that then produce other red carpet introductions, I guess is kind of the cycle for you. Okay, so I love this. So you have a little checklist, which I think is handy. It's an acronym. So talking about how do you create these red carpet relationships that then lead to a red carpet introduction. Give us the acronym and give us the overview of each one, and then I'll pick a couple I want to dive in on.
So briefly, I always look at it, the end goal is impact. To me, somehow, some way, our vision, there's something in all of our visions that we value success or significance as to impacting other lives. And I look at it as though the gateways of impact are these 5 things. So the gates, GATES, the G is just being genuine. And I think eliminating distractions, there's no fakeness. We all know what it feels like when you're with someone that is raw and real and not counterfeit, but genuine. The A is authenticity, or being authentic, which means, yes, we're willing to adapt or, sell the way other people like to buy, like our navigate topic. But at the same time, I've got to be me. I can't be Kitty or Dave Brown, or to use some of our colleagues or our other partners' examples. I've got to be comfortable in my skin. And that starts with how I wake up and my intentional prayers and just, man, Lord, thank you for making me exactly who I am. Like, I'm really comfortable with who I am, which allows me to be authentic. The T is transparency, which I just value so much. I just look at people that are vulnerable and they're human. They're no better or worse. There's no condescending attitude or so every day I've got to think about, how can I kill my ego? How can I slay pride that would make me be, just act like I'm something special. When in reality, I'm a human that's trying to do my best, like every person I come in contact with. And that, I don't even, I want to do my best on this to convey that, but that to me, it's hard to put a price on that. So transparency.
So why? Okay. So I'm going to cut you off right there for a sec, because this is important. So how do you, why is that such a big deal? Like, why do you feel like the ego is why is that a negative thing? Because there's a counterbalance to that, which is like, you have to be confident, right? So why do you say killing your ego is critical to building these sort of red carpet relationships?
Yeah. So I think if anyone that's listening, if we all closed our eyes and just thought of good old likability, like who are the people we really just have come in contact with in the last couple of years that we really like this person. We'd go out of our way to spend time with them. the opposite of that is ego. Like when someone feels like they just are so special or this or that, and then they're condescending, you feel lectured, you feel talked down to almost. And, I just think that's just such a turnoff. And so even though your product might be a little cheaper, it may be a little more quality, I'm going to spend time and search for an alternative choice because I just feel yucky, to use a goofy term, but when I'm around you. And however, on the flip side, when there's someone that's just transparent and just so, again, human, I just think that's just wow, I really have a respect there. And then everything they say is taken with a different lens. I really trust you. I value what you say now because I just like you and think you're real.
And so how do you balance that with confidence?
I think just conviction. Like, I think, for me, true confidence is just conviction. It's not, because that's a good call. Like if confidence is taken in an ego way, then we lose it. But if it's just like, I'm convicted in what we do, and then buying atmosphere, like, man, I'm excited to get to spend some time with you. And if it's a good fit, love the chance to work with you or work with your team or whatever it is you're presenting. But if not, no problem. Like that's confidence there too. I'm not chasing something. I've got plenty. It's an attitude of abundancy. I don't need to beg or grovel to get whatever you've got. It's just that I think that's conveyed as true confidence while still being transparent and not egotistical.
So are you saying that confidence is more about what you do than who you are? Like you're saying it's being convicted in what we do, not so much like, ego about how great you are.
I'd say it's both, but yeah, you bet. The conviction piece, you bet. Like just, it's convicted in what we have to offer, and for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. So E. All right. So you got
what's the enthusiasm or energy. It's just, I think there's something that's just contagious about when you're with someone and their face lights up, or just people where there's a real energy about them. And of course, these 5 points all kind of, a genuine energy, an authentic enthusiasm, but just the enthusiasm that's real. And you can see someone when they are kind of feeling your pain. Like if you share, and again, the enthusiasm is very real. If I'm sharing something that's a frustration in my life, you can see someone's enthusiasm for their care, like how they care, or their excitement and joy for you. Like you can hear it in their voice inflection, which I think is powerful. The S, the last piece of this is just sincerity. And I think, the old quote I always love to think about is just, it's not what I say, it's how I make someone feel. And the eye to eye contact and the facial expressions, and just, I just think we love being around people that have sincerity in their words and their actions. And that's, I think that captures it.
Mm-hmm. Well, buddy, so I have one more question for you, but before we do, so we're running out of time here, which I knew would go by fast. Where do you want people to go to learn about you? Obviously every time we do one of these episodes, we talk about, these free, request a free call with one of our coaches. Here you are, a real life person. So if they wanted to request a call to talk with you to learn more, like where do you want to point people?
Just websites, great. RonAlfordSWC.com, or my LinkedIn page is great too. Just Ron Alford, with Southwestern Consulting, ALFORD. So I think those are probably the best spots.
All right. So the last thing is for you, in the spirit of the Action Catalyst podcast and what people should take action on. So if there's somebody out there right now and they're listening and they're going, oh crap, I have not been looking at people as red carpet relationships. I've been looking at people as transactions, as vehicles to get me to some place in my life. I've not been, treating them with this sort of care and delicate sort of value. and so they're saying, okay, I need to make some changes. What do you think is the first thing you would say, the first thing to do to start building these true, these real relationships that have depth, that are, red carpet, as you call them? What's the very first thing I should do if I need to start making this change?
I love it. I think, to me, start with 5. Like, it's never too late. That's the beauty of this. Is I always tell people, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, my roots are planted. I'm excited we're just getting started on this. You hear me say that a lot. And so it's never too late. And so start with 5 examples. I think, as you were just talking, Rory, I would bet most people could close their eyes and think of 30 examples. I could go on for an hour of people that I want to, but start with 5. If we can pick a few, and then at least one maybe today, or the quickest gap. If I've got a 15-minute break later today, boy, I'm going to reach out and just appreciate someone. Just, hey, was thinking of it with no, expected, result in mind necessarily. Just to start rebuilding that relationship or furthering it, and just to appreciate him. Hey, I miss you. I was just thinking about you. It's been a while since we talked. Man, would be fun to catch up soon. And just some sort of a gesture that starts it. And then, of course, getting a couple coffees or happy hours or lunches or whatever it is, getting a couple of those scheduled, because that's where it starts.
I love it. Ron Alford, my friends, senior partner, leadership extraordinaire, servant seller. Amazing dude. I'm so honored to introduce you to him. You're going to probably hear more from him in the future, because he is, in my opinion, the epitome of a practitioner. And I just love this guy. So, brother, thank you for making some time for us and,
awesome.
and being here on
Rory,
the show.
for having me, man. Appreciate you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Alford, nice to meet you, and so excited for you to meet him. And just truly, he's just one of these guys that the more you know him, the more respect that you have for him. And as always, we're trying to bring guests here to the show that you can learn from, both some of them that are, world famous celebrities and athletes and Navy SEALs and best-selling authors and CEOs, and also some that are real life practitioners in terms of what they're doing every day, that is very, on the ground, in the dirt, doing the deal, just like you are. And that's just something that we really, really value. And man, there's few people that I would hold up to with to withstand the same level of scrutiny and transparency as the guy you just heard from, Ron Alford. And if you head to ronalfordcoach.com, as he mentioned, you can get connected to him, and you can click on his blogs and see all of his blogs and request a free call with him. And, there's all sorts of other information about him at ronalfordswc.com. But I wanted to transition the conversation to, as always, just kind of what am I learning from our guests, and how do we take action on what we just heard? And I love, in fact, I never even heard Ron use this phrase before. I mean, I've known the guy for 15 years now, and I've never even heard him use the phrase red carpet relationships. And I love that, this idea of building referrals and building a business by creating red carpet relationships and through red carpet introductions. And that idea, it just captures so well this idea of caring for people and looking after people, and then the sales happens as a byproduct of that. So that's a big idea, and I think the idea is something that we around Southwestern Consulting, because we talk about servant selling, and that's one of our philosophies, and we say things like that all the time, and we believe in relationships, but to never heard it said that way, red carpet relationships, which I just hit me as really powerful way to think about what you're doing every day with your clients and your colleagues and your network and your partners and stuff like that. So really good. So what I wanted to do is kind of say, okay, let's talk about 3 steps to convert those red carpet relationships into revenue. Because Ron kind of said, okay, here's the 5 steps that you need to go through to create these red carpet relationships. His little GATES acronym, which I thought was handy, is, be genuine, be authentic, be transparent, be enthusiastic, and be sincere. And if you do those 5 things with people, you're going to build red carpet relationships. And then the goal, of course, is to convert those red carpet relationships into revenue. So let's talk about that. Now, how do we take those red carpet relationships and convert them into revenue? And so the first thing that I just wanted to share with you is a powerful idea that I don't think enough people really understand. And recently, I actually wrote a blog on this called Why Your Networking Isn't Working. Why your networking isn't working. Because networking is one of those things that it's amazing that there's sort of two classes in the world on networking, like 2 different views. Some people stake their entire business model on networking. They say that, networking is it. I mean, that is the key, is, networking and networking meetings, and it's all about networking. And other people will say, networking, what a waste of time. I can't imagine a bigger waste of time. I've been to networking meetings. I don't get any business out of them. It's just a waste of time. It's just a bunch of people walking around, trying to sell their services or whatever, and blah. And I always find it interesting and fascinating how do you have these 2 different groups, these 2 completely different classifications. And the reason I think there is the difference is because I think one group understands inherently what makes networking work and the other group doesn't. And it's very much related to what Ron is talking about. Even though Ron isn't talking about networking meetings, what he's talking about is relationships. And networking meetings are just an avenue to catalyze relationships from taking place. But there's a right way to do that, and there's a wrong way to do it. And even if you don't think about networking, even if you just think about your network, like not going to networking meetings, but the people in your network, your clients, your colleagues, your people from college or where you grew up or who live in your neighborhood. And some people, the people that figure this out, they become the top producers. They become the ultra performers. They become the Ron Alfords. They become the record breakers. I mean, that they do. The people who don't are the ones that go, what a waste of time. And here's what it is. Build relationships before you need them. You have to build relationships before you need them. And that is what it is all about. And that is what Ron is talking about. You can't just meet somebody and you can meet somebody and you can sell to them. You also can meet somebody and you can ask for referrals right away. But what you really want to try to do is build relationships with people before you need them. You don't want to try to build a relationship with somebody when you need something from them. I mean, you can. That's kind of like selling, I guess, in some regards. But when you talk about building a referral network, when you talk about red carpet relationships, you have to build the relationships first. You invest first. You help them first. You support them first. You serve them first. You do the work first. And then you later have a chance to, benefit from that relationship. Later, there is something that can come back to you if you've done a good job, but you build relationships before you need them. And if that becomes a part of your mantra, if that becomes a part of your philosophy, then what will happen is you will have relationships everywhere. You'll have great relationships, you'll have a great reputation, and you go around almost not even worried about what you're getting back. You're just focused on building relationships so that when you do need something, guess what? You've got 1 million people that will help you. You have 1 million people that will really, really want to help you because you've invested so much into them. So that's the first thing I think is kind of use this GATES philosophy and build relationships before you need them. And the second thing is what any of us can do on our very first day in sales. And I also did a video blog about this not too long ago. And because this is an important question, and we run into it with when we do consulting work for clients and we're helping them structure their onboarding process for like new salespeople, and they say, okay, what should a salesperson do on their first day? Or if we're coaching somebody, when we do one-on-one sales coaching, sort of our bread and butter, and we're working with a client, they may be pretty much brand new to sales. And it's like, okay, how do you get that person to be successful? So what would you do on your first day if you were in sales? Or another way of thinking about this is, what would you do if it was your first day in recruiting? So maybe you've been in sales and you've gotten promoted, and now your job is to really focus on going out and recruit. And the answer is the same thing. And it's something that, again, most people don't do. Most people, their first day in sales or their first day in recruiting, they start selling or they start recruiting. And it's not that that's bad, okay? We want to sell, we want to recruit, but there's a little bit of an important, an intermediary first step, an accelerator, a multiplier, if you will, which is before you immediately just launch out and just start selling, or just immediately launch out and just start recruiting. Ask for referrals. Ask for referrals. That is what you should do on your first day, is ask for referrals. Because even though it might be your first day in a new job, a new company, or in a new position like recruiting, and you go, well, I don't have any past clients. Well, you might not have any past clients on your first day. I mean, you don't. But what you do have is you have relationships. You have red carpet relationships, hopefully, in your life. I mean, hopefully you have at least a few. And even like Ron was saying, if you just have 5, then you have everything you need to get started. And go to those people that you have invested time into, those people that do like you and trust you, and ask them for referrals. You can try to sell to them too. There's nothing wrong with that. We love sales. We believe in sales. It can sometimes be a little bit awkward to sell to people that you really know that well as a first thing. It's like, hey, I thought we were friends and now I'm in this sales conversation, which isn't bad. I mean, you want to be transparent. At some point, you want to let the people closest to you know what you're doing. But one of the best ways to do that, one of the best ways to let the people closest to you know what you are doing, is to approach them more with the goal or the objective of asking for referrals. And what you will find is that you may end up selling them or recruiting them as a byproduct. So you go to them, but that is what you should do, is ask for referrals. So you build relationships before you need them. And then whenever you get to your first day in a new job or a new position or a new territory, right? Or maybe you're starting a new division, or you're launching a new product line, or you're doing a new something related to building your business, what do? Ask for referrals. Who do you ask for referrals from? You ask for referrals from your red carpet relationships. And they don't have to be people who are past clients. They just have to be people who know you and trust you. And then the third thing, and this is, again, I'm stealing this right from the interview with Ron, which I love, is go into beast mode. Go into beast mode. Something at Southwestern, we often call it the golden hours. And the golden hours is this protected block of time where you have some amount of time in your day that you say, I'm not going to allow myself to be interrupted by emails or incoming calls or distractions or emergencies. I'm going to close my door. I'm going to turn off my ringer for incoming calls. I'm going to shut down my email, and I'm going to go into beast mode. And beast mode is those golden hours where it's fresh outreach, to new people in your network. It's fresh outreach to ask for referrals and to generate new business, to build your pipeline for business development, right? That is, and you want to be in beast mode, and have a beast mode, appointment on your calendar, or golden hours in your calendar. And this is one of the things when we're doing coaching with clients, is one of the most powerful things. I mean, I'm telling you, blocking a little bit of time, creating a little bit of golden hours in your schedule can double your production. And especially if you're doing all this other stuff with what Ron's talking about, referrals and red carpet relationships, if you just have a little bit of time for new business development, then what will happen is your business explodes, and you have more than you can keep up with. You have more than you can handle. And it's just this abundant, overflowing feeling which is just awesome, right? It's just great to have that. So build relationships before you need them, ask for referrals, and go into beast mode, and then start working those referrals. At the end of the day, servant selling is about this idea of serving other people, and selling happens as a natural byproduct, right? You're building relationships with them, not just because you want a sale, not only because of the benefit of your own self-interest, which is that maybe you'll get a referral or maybe you will make a sale, but you focus on serving people because you want to serve people. You focus on building relationships because you want to build relationships. And you put your faith and trust that if you do that with enough people and you build a strong reputation and you serve them and you're genuinely concerned with helping others, with supporting others, with lifting up others, then sooner or later, it will all come back around. So go out, be a servant, be a seller, be a leader, be a multiplier. We'll catch you next time. Well, that about wraps up the Action Catalyst podcast for this week. If you haven't yet, please log in to whatever your favorite medium is to listen to the show, and both rate this podcast and leave a comment, as that helps new prospective listeners determine if the show's really a good fit for them.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and screenshot this episode to share with your friends on social media. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst, and subscribe to our video podcast on YouTube. Thanks for listening.